Welcome to My Sorare Journey, and oh my god, the changes and updates since I last done a video, it seems pretty mental. Just to recap a few of them, Sorare data is no longer available, that's been turned off. The update for the next season, the 25-26 season, that all came out. That had a lot of heat behind it. We've got the Club World Cup going on, and everything in between. So I thought it's about time I just share where I'm sitting at. It's a weird place for Sorare at the minute. Everything seems incredibly negative, and I completely understand the rationale behind it. Let's just talk about what I'm going to do. We had massive changes, like the super rare unique division kind of merging into one, and the huge upset from people like Pranksy and everyone else. Understandably, just a huge shift of the goalposts there. But I won't be talking about that because this is my journey. I do not play Super Rare, I do not play Unique, and I've not really took the time to read into it and how it actually affects things. Obviously, it's going to benefit some, it's going to, hinder others or hurt others, which is why we need to stop making so many drastic changes. I think that was my overarching feeling to their update for the new season. Some cool stuff. But when you change so much, it's going to affect someone negatively, it's going to affect someone else positively. Sometimes it affects everyone negatively, of course. And people are going to be annoyed. And I don't think we needed that. The game was fine. Maybe it wasn't its peak, maybe it wasn't its best form, but it was doing well. If you just added something else to it, a little bit of excitement for next season, that would have been cool. You've added some excitement, but you've taken cool features away. We'll merge them up and just talk where I'm at. So obviously, looking at my club, it was always a Premier League dominated, in season, for last season at least, competitions. I didn't really care about my classic cards. I didn't really care about my limited cards. And yeah, that's been taken away. There's no classic Premier League. It goes to classic champion. It's probably net negative for me. I'm not really that bothered, but it is probably net negative because I wanted to just dominate the Premier League. I've got the best Premier League players, but when it stretches to champion, you obviously want Bayern, PSG, Madrid, or Barcelona. Yes, teams like Liverpool, Man City probably have fixtures occasionally as good, but PSG have them every week, Bayern have them every week. So, bit of a kick in the teeth there. Does it really matter? Probably not. For me, going forward, it was always like, how much do I put into in-season? How much can I earn back? And from that change, everything else is just a sunk cost. So this season, I might have it up here, probably ended up... What did I end up at? At the end of the season, a net cost of £239. My players were probably worth more than that. They probably still are worth more than that, I'd hope at least. So a small to medium profit. Maybe I'm a medium, get a loss. Depends how you look at it, really, because do you measure the price at the end of the season? Do you measure them at the start of next season? So many other factors like earning market credits and being able to craft cards. I would say overall the fairest opinion I can give is probably like a minor profit. Very, very minor. And when you outlaid £5,500 across the season, and a lot of that return was very early on with a first place win, yeah, it gives me like, meh, it doesn't really matter sort of vibes. Like, would I risk £5,000 for £200? Probably not, especially when the work you have to put in to sort of get there. But of course, it's not work. It is supposed to be fun at some points, and there absolutely was fun. I remember particularly the start of the season. I was just loving this game. The new system was working brilliantly. I think I got everything at a fair price. Now I'm looking at to this season. I'm looking at my 25-26 champ lineups. Looking absolutely incredible. I mean, I've got depth everywhere. Maybe I can improve some midfielders if you're being ultra picky. But there's a good selection of players. There's a distinct lack of PSG and Bayern players. Well, that's because I was thinking the league specific things would stick around. They haven't. There's not a lot you can do about that. But is it enough to keep me playing? So if we're talking about last season, you're looking at the core, and as I said, a very small profit for a massive outlay and a lot of time and stress and, of course, bits of fun. The answer is probably not. I'm not looking at playing in season again this season. I think I was borderline last time we spoke, and just a few things that has changed and been said. I think I'm just leaning against it at the minute. If there's a really good like prices compared to the prize pools, obviously we haven't even seen the prize pools yet, but typically the prize pools, are based on what you can win, and at the start of the season they're typically overpriced anyway. I'm leaning towards just not really putting any more money into the game at its current phase. I don't find a whole lot of fun coming from it, and obviously there's huge risks involved in any platform. But I think Sorare typically right now, there was an article come out about their financial instability, about how they're close to losing or going under. Nicholas, CEO, came out and said that's absolute nonsense. But with all these things, there's no smoke without fire. He's not going to be like, yeah, we barely got any money left. These things happen so quickly. We've seen it on other games, and just overnight something changes, and it's like, hey, we're just going to make a little pause in the game, and then we'll be in it back in a couple of months, and they never come back, and sentiment's gone, and everything in between. So I do think this is probably the riskiest time to play Sorare. The other thing that I noted was the market credit change. That concerned me, because the only reason to do that is to basically earn more money. The quicker that you can make people's market credits expire, the better it is for them. People forget, they'll just get rid of it. And obviously that's a net gain for the company. They gave it out so they can say, hey, look, we rewarded you this, but you never spent it. And that would be fine. I completely understand it. It's just how it came so late. They had planned this sort of season changeover for things like crafting, boxes, and they never mentioned market credit, so everyone just assumed you could keep rolling them into next season, and then they quickly just cut it. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, fine, but it was going to be my stepping stone into in-season. Now my stepping stone is going to be if I win cards, but if I only win one card, I'm probably just going to sell it instantly. So I'm not enthusiastic about Sorare. There's nothing that makes me want to get up and search the market or play the game, particularly in the Club World Cup. That is just ridiculous. Like, you have teams like Bayern winning 10-0. Why would I even enter a team? I've got like 4 great players every week. I just can't be bothered to buy a goalkeeper. I've no idea if Matt Turner's playing. But at the same time, you might look at my gallery and be like, hey, he's a liar. Because I've spent 20, 35, 213. So recently I had £150 of market credits to use. So I had to spend £300, which is basically 1, 2, 3, 4. And then Alexander Sorloth is a massive punt, I'd probably describe it as. So obviously, I collect like physical cards in terms of football cards and in terms of Pokemon cards. I think, maybe broad to say, but I like them as an investment. They've got limited supply, they've got constant growing demand. Besides that, they look cool. I'd rather put my money into like an expensive signed messy card than I would a painting from some painter that I never cared about. So that's my sort of rationale on why I do that. Why I bought Sorloth is because if Sorare is huge and does grow the way it was on a trajectory to a couple of years ago, these first season of mints, I think will be really in demand, and £20 is an absolute steal for it. If we're looking at sort of last sales, which I've got to learn how to do this whole thing again now Sorare Day is gone. So that is not sales, they're listings. And then this must be the sales history. So we can see mine was £21 and it sold for 18. So I basically got but before that it was sold for 22. So I basically got this first edition card for no extra cost. So it's like huge punt with very little downside. It just gives me an extra card to use at fair market value. And long term, if this was super successful, if collectability became key in the game again, I could see a card like that going up in value. And for me, it's not actually like a punt to make money. It's more of a punt of what it means. And what it means is sort of an early Sorare player, a core Sorare lover. And yeah, it just says a little bit more, and if it goes up in value and I can hold it, or maybe even I sell it, who knows. Yeah, it's just a cool thing to have. So I thought for £20 we will do that. In terms of market credits left, probably looking £7, which I'll spend another £14 on something I don't need nor care about. In terms of the Kawasaki guys, I was like, I have them in limited. I've got their shirt sitting behind me there. Why not? These are some decent scorers. They might be able to hit something for me in the season before the end of the season. But I think in My Sorare Journey, it's all about being my thoughts, my opinions. You can't just do these videos when you're absolutely buzzing and everything else. It's got to be a fair sort of balanced view. And I've not really had the time to make videos, and finally got some time today, and I was like, let's just update where I'm at. It's difficult because I can see positives. Like the arena could be really fun. The game itself, it can improve. Classic SO7 could be cool. I don't know. I'm struggling to find like a reason to sign someone up, a reason to continue playing outside of the fact, like if I wasn't me, if I wasn't a diehard fan, if I wasn't a content creator for it, I would really struggle to be like, hey, you should really check this out. Because even, for me, the in-season, I described it probably in one of my last videos of that transition period's very, I could never word it well, but it's like yes or no. There's a clear decision of, do you want to continue playing and put more money into this game? Whereas historically, you sort of rolled into it. You didn't have to spend more money, but you could. You'd probably assess your team and look at weaknesses and go for it. But when I look back to history, which maybe you shouldn't do it, for us older players, it's a completely different game, but naturally it's hard not to. The thing I loved was building teams and trading and learning about football. And now there's no trading, you just buy from the primary market or whoever the cheapest on the secondary very, very ill-frequently. Fantasy football is still there, but I've been playing that for 5 years now, 4 years. It can get a bit tiring on its own, especially with the same cards. And, I know who's meta. I know PSG and Bayern are going to absolutely smash Champion most weeks. And then finally, you sort of have the final point, which I forgot. So it's training, learning football. The way it's programmed at the minute, stars will be stars again. You've got to go for champion players, and I always go to the best return league, which was the Premier League. So there's not really too much learning to be done there. Everyone watches it. It's covered statistically by thousands of people. So yeah, you can jump into Asia, try and find out if Kawasaki Frontale are going to have a good season, but when the return's not there, there's not really that passion to do it. So I spoke about probably on Twitter how I thought under 23 should be the core of the game again. And it's coming back. It's got its classic league. Cool. But yeah, without the fluidity of the market, being able to chop in and out of players, it's just never going to be the same. Because that was the joy. It's like you see someone getting a start, you're like, bang, sign him up. I'm playing him, hoping he keeps his position. I remember doing it, now we are going back through the vault here. I did it with Vinicius Jr. Now, he's going to be about £100 when this loads in. I don't remember the site being so slow, but I guess it's because they've got so much going on now, they don't have Sorare data. This is ridiculous. I've only got 113 cards to look through. We're going to have to give that a refresh. But basically, I remember watching a game, and obviously Vinny Jr. was a huge prospect at Madrid. He sort of let himself down when he joined. He wasn't really he's been mocked. And then I saw him play live. He was ridiculous, and he was so good on the scoring matrix as well. So I bought him when he was, out of favour basically. A couple of years later, he come back. He's completely in favour. It was like a couple of weeks later, completely in favour, like 10x in price. I looked like a genius. I was learning football. And yeah, I just think I still have so much joy. Like, maybe it's an internet problem with me, but like when I was building this sort of spreadsheet before, when I was looking at all my players and how they could play together, that was so fun. You know, I was still having fun doing that. And then the closer we get to next season, and it's like, hey, go line up these players in Champion Classic 7, try and avoid DMPs, try and not get screwed by people just running PSG and buying stacks. I'm struggling for motivation, to be honest. I'm sure a lot of you feel the same. I'm in a very biased position where I've obviously been playing this game for a very long time, but yeah, it's a sad state of affairs right now. Even though I am still putting money into the game, I am in a different league. You know, I am diehard content creator, optimist at the same time, but I know in my heart of hearts, not the writing's on the wall, but it'll just never be the same as it was. In my opinion, you know, as fun as this game is or was, it can just never go back to being that like all-conquering fantasy football entertainment game that sucked up so many people's lives and they loved it. And that hurts to say, but it's the fact of the matter right now. I'd love nothing more than them to rise like a phoenix and be stronger than before, even in different ways, you know, with these in-season competitions. But for me, it just looks like a bit of a niche product. We've still got the Gambling Commission investigation going on right now. I've not heard anything about that. I've not tried to research it myself. It's sort of one of those, I think, like, they'll probably be found not guilty. If they are found guilty, they'll find like a loophole of, well, UK players need KYC or anything like that. I don't see it as like a nail in the coffin or anything like that. I think financially they're probably quite sound. You know, they would have sold loads of cards last season. They gave out a decent amount of money, but they also control what they give out in terms of things like hot streaks and things like that. So, yeah, obviously not a planned video. Just wanted to come on and say sort of my piece on what I'm feeling. It's not particularly negative. Well, maybe it is from what you've watched, but it's not that I think the game's dead or run out of money or going bust. I just can't get an excitement for it. It's more like a job, and this isn't my full-time thing. I don't need to do this. I could sell all my cards tomorrow and not really care. But for me, there's also that opportunity cost where if I did sell everything and never played again and it went massive and all the cards went up in value, I'd feel so annoyed that I wasted like 4.5 years and then missed the boom or whatever. So like I said, don't do what I do. Maybe just listen to my rationale and then construct that on your own sort of point of view, because you know, no two-person's perspective on Sorare is the same. If you had a really bad season, you're probably hating it. Really good season, you probably think it's the best thing ever. And some people will be caught in the middle, depending on how much fun they've got out of it. And I think at the moment, it's just lacking fun for me. Maybe that's just how long I've played it. Probably a combination of loads of things. But if you like this video, I don't know. Thank you very much for watching. All the best. Cheers.